who's getting ready to kick off and start the second half of the Green Bay Packers. Dokie Williams and Clee Montgomery. Montgomery on the right there, number 28, and Dokie Williams on the left to receive the second half kickoff as we are tied at 7. The home opener for the Los Angeles Raiders, and the Packers have come in here and played exceptionally well for 30 minutes. But this game is a 60-minute contest. Our second half is underway. Dokie Williams at the 4-yard line. Dokie Williams run out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. A 36-yard return knocked out there by Estes Hood.
You think Dokie Williams isn't setting the tone for the second half? Tom Flory says, okay, guys, you're the world champions. You're doodling around at 7-7. Now make something happen. Dokie Williams does exactly that. Great quick move to the outside there. And the second-year man from UCLA gives the Raiders great field position at the 40-yard line,
where they will take over 1st and 10. You remember, John, last week, the Raiders trailed Houston 7-0. They came out in the second half. It was Greg Pruitt on a fine punt return. Special teams got them off and rolling.
Lester Hayes has said that many times. You know, the first half belongs to the other team. The second half belongs to us.
Here's Plunkett back to pass. Complete to Cliff Branch. Knocked down there by Tom Lynn. So Cliff Branch, the 13-year veteran from Colorado, comes up with enough yards for the first down.
If you live by the zone, you can die by the zone. If you don't get a rush, those lanes will open up. Here, take a look at the slot. That's Branch across the middle. He clears the linebacker right there. Plunkett puts it in the hole. Christensen, meanwhile, is occupying the safety in the corner. First down.
At the Packer 43. Plunkett back to pass again. And he starts to run. Alfonso Carricker.
I don't think that's something that he wants to do. Couldn't find a receiver, took it up the middle on the quarterback keeper. 14 years out of Stanford. Jim Plunkett, remember, he told us that he hurt a knee about a month ago, and it was just coming around, and he doesn't want to run the ball now and take a shot on that knee. He wants to stay healthy and go for another Super Bowl.
2nd and 3 from the Packer 36-yard line.
That's what DJ said. If he floats, I should look for him.
Hand off to Marcus Allen. Allen spinning and turning, tackled by the nose tackle, Terry Jones.
It's interesting, Marcus Allen in the first half carried the ball 8 times for 21 yards. But, you know, 14 of those came on the late, right before the half. So Marcus isn't having there. It's 9 for 25 yards. Not much of an afternoon for Marcus Allen.
But we all know that Marcus Allen is the kind of running back who can pop the big one at any time. Play action pass by Plunkett.
Good protection.
Good protection. Wide open Malcolm Barnwell. Barnwell knocked out of bounds by John Anderson. About the 15-yard line. So John, we are seeing where the Raiders get a big opening second half kickoff return and methodically just marching right down the field.
And the reason this is wide open is number 37, Mark Murphy, ran with Marcus Allen, and that opened the whole side of the field. See 37 right there? He ran downfield with the running back. Should have let him go and come up to make the tackle on Barnwell. Good game for the Raiders. 3 receptions, 54 yards for Barnwell.
1st and 10 for the Raiders, just outside the Packer 10. Plunkett's going to throw again. Intended for Malcolm Barnwell, knocked down there by Mark Lee. Good defensive play by Lee.
Interesting that Lee turned inside, Jim. Most cornerbacks will turn to the outside, shadow that receiver, and then put his hand up at the last minute. Here, Lee turned inside, so he had a better view of the ball. Ball is really well thrown. Lee just gets a hand up on it, or else Barnwell would have had that Plunkett pass.
One of the other things there, John, as you know, playing a defensive back yourself, is that Mark Lee had Malcolm Barnwell right on the sideline. So he was using that also as another device to use the good defensive play with. 2nd and 10. Toss back to Marcus. He fumbles the ball. And Cliff Branch picks it up and gets down to just about the 1-inch line, it looks like.
Is it sometimes better to be lucky than good? Marcus Allen coughs the ball up. Take a look at it here. It's the old pitch, right? The I pitch. He brings it upfield, carrying the ball on the inside hand, and he actually kicks it with his own knee. But look at Cliff Branch here. Oh yeah, it'll come to me. He almost gets in the end zone, but no dice. What luck for the Raiders.
Down to the 1 yard line. First and goal. And Frank Hawkins trying to dig his way in there.
Look at Robert Brown trying to dribble the ball out of Hawkins' hands and take it upfield.
Terry Jones in on the tackle. You know, it's really amazing. You know, the Raiders, they're very slow in the first half, and they come out just like they did against Houston last week. And I mean, bang, 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 and they're knocking on your door.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They trailed 7-0. They got 24 straight points to win 24-14 last week. Second half, they're on fire here early.
Frank Hawkins again. Touchdown, Los Angeles. Frank Hawkins, who usually comes in those short yardage and goal line situations, spins and turns his way in for the touchdown. The Raiders now lead at 13-7, trying to make it 14.
He's got that low center of gravity here. And watch, right there, you see number 52, George Cumby, can't hold on. Hawkins is only 5'9", 210 pounds. Hard to grab onto.
Chris Barr for the extra point. It is good. So the Los Angeles Raiders play 60 yards, 4 minutes and 9 seconds taken off the clock, capped off by the 1 yard touchdown run by Frank Hawkins, and they lead the Green Bay Packers 14-7. Chris Barr ready to kick off for the Raiders. Del Rogers and Harlan Huckabee back to receive for the Packers. This is Rogers at the goal line.
Watch the draw.
Del Rogers getting up to about the 15-yard line, and that's where the Packers will take over. First and 10. Tackle there made by Derek Jensen.
It's a different year in the NFL. After you score a touchdown, you got to be careful what you do with it. Showing enthusiasm. Watch Hawkins here. Let me spike. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. It'll cost me some money. A fine. Still, he gets the touchdown, puts him ahead 14-7, and you sense the momentum has taken a sudden shift here in the second half.
Randy Wright back at quarterback for the Packers, replacing Lynn Dickey. Hand off to Jesse Clark. And Jesse Clark gets up to about the 20-yard line, where Reggie Kinlaw and Matt Millen make the tackle.
And you know, the Raiders went to the locker room at halftime, and you know, they turned up the intensity level a couple of notches. They said, okay guys, world champions, let's go out and show them what it's about. It's going to be interesting to see if the young Packers, with their rookie quarterback, can turn up their intensity level one notch to play with the Raiders this afternoon in the second half.
2nd and 5 from the Packer 20-yard line. Randy Wright at quarterback. Hand off to Gary Ellis. Ellis grabbed by Reggie Kinlaw, the nose tackle.
And Jim, in the first half, what amazed me, it's not exactly an awesome rushing attack that the Packers possess, but yet in the first half, Green Bay was able to rush the ball 14 times for 73 yards, and that's respectable against this Raider defense.
And there's Lynn Dickey behind Bob Schnelker in the white shirt there. Schnelker is the offensive coordinator. Dickey in the back, and you know it's just eating him up not to be in there. 3rd and 1. Jesse Clark. Clark tackled by Rod Martin.
Rod Martin on the stop.
So Jesse Clark, going off tackle, picks up enough yardage for the first down. As young Randy Wright is getting his baptism into the NFL in a hurry.
But when you talk to head coach Forrest Gregg about his 6th round draft choice, he said, well, we just couldn't pass up Randy when he was still on the board in the 6th round. He was just too good. As a matter of fact, Forrest and Snelker had him rated the number 2 quarterback in the draft this year.
He's number 1 right now. Gets it away from the blitz and throws it incomplete. Pass intended for Jesse Clark. Matt Millen, Howie Long putting tremendous pressure on Randy Wright. And he just got it away just in time.
Second down and 10.
The Raiders continuing, John, to shift people around on defense, bringing in different people on personnel, trying to confuse the young guy. Right now, Greg Townsend comes in, Otis McKinney comes in, Jeff Barnes comes in. That's what they call their pirate defense. They're moving people all over the place. Once again, the ball is knocked down by Howie Long.
And you know what? I was just going to say that Howie Long presents the most problems to any defense when he's on the nose. That time, Howie Long, number 75, moved to the middle where his quickness and his strength can cause problems for any team. Larry McCarron, number 54, is trying to block him, but there he is, right in the quarterback's face. Now, again, he knocks the ball away with his left hand. We saw him do that in the first half. Howie Long.
And one of the things that the Raiders do with Howie, as we were talking to Tom Flores yesterday, is they will move him all over the defensive line. They want to turn him loose because he's one of the better athletes in all the National Football League.
And Jim, they're looking for a mismatch also. They're looking for a guy that may not be strong enough to handle or quick enough to handle Howie Long.
3rd and 10. Right back to pass. Going deep. Intended for Philip Epps, knocked away there by Lester Hayes. And Lester looks like he's hurt. Lester Hayes making a brilliant defensive play on Philip Epps. And the way he came down, John, it could be like something has to do with his left arm, his shoulder or his arm or something like that.
It certainly appears that way, and that's what they're checking right now. As you take a look at the isolated look on the near side receivers, Lester is running on the outside. You see him in his wild linebacker stance, very low. Philip Epps, the speedster, on the outside. Actually, Lester gets very lucky here because, see, if that ball was thrown outside away along the sidelines, that's a completion. Instead, it's thrown inside. Lester gets his hand on the ball and comes down on his left shoulder, and that could be the problem, his arm or his left shoulder. He's got those bad thumbs. He has them taped up.
So the Raiders certainly hope that Lester Hayes can recuperate and come back. 8:35 left in the 3rd period. The Raiders leading the Packers 14-7. For the Green Bay Packers, Greg Pruitt at about his own 30-yard line. Flag on the play. Pruitt takes it about his own 35. He's run out of bounds at about the Raider 49-yard line, but there is a flag on a play.
But Jim, Tony Caldwell, number 57, the linebacker playing special teams, ran into Scribner after he got the ball. He actually almost blocked it, but he didn't do the thing you're supposed to do. And that, of course, is get in front of the kicker and lay yourself out. Instead, he had the wrong angle. And ran into the kicker. Packers get a first down. Take a look at it. Watch the right side of your screen. Here he comes. Caldwell. See where he jumped? He was out of control. Didn't have any body control, so he ran into the kicker. Gives the Packers a new life.
And a first down at their own 33-yard line. Randy Wright at quarterback. And right back to pass. Intended for Jesse Clark, Lyle Alzado, Rod Martin in on the tackle. U.S. Open Tennis Men's Final Championship.
McEnroe, too tough for Lendl. He wasn't going to let a repeat of the French Open happen. Look at that, McEnroe, 6'3", 6'4", 6'1". And there's Lynn Dickey along the sidelines. And the report is, Jim, that he has that sore back. They don't want to take a chance. He will not be back.
2nd and 10. Right going deep. intended for Henry Childs, but he's double covered back there. Van McElroy and Mike Davis.
And Lyle Alzado, number 77, is manhandling number 67, Carl Swanky, on the offensive line. He just picked him up that time, threw him to the ground. Wright was forced to throw that ball a little bit early. He overthrew it. And my question to you, Jim Hill, where is James Lofton? Is he playing?
Lofton has not caught a single pass this afternoon. The only action that he's come up with was on that reverse. Other than that, he's been shut out by Mike Haynes.
You're talking about a game breaker who had 1,300 yards last year, almost 60 receptions.
Lester Hayes has returned to the lineup. 3rd and 10 for the Packers. Handoff up the middle. Gary Ellis, the ball carrier. Tackle there made by Bill Pickell.
With the stop.
You remember Lester telling us yesterday that those defensive backs gives these in the NFC give guys like Lofton too much respect. He said, to heck with that. I'm going to push him around. I'm going to shove him. I'm going to let him know what a real defensive back can do to a wide receiver. And forget about those punks, those defensive backs in the NFC. I'm going to show you what it's about. And he's doing it this afternoon.
Direct quote. That's right.
A direct quote.
4th and 10. Bucky Scribner back to punt as Greg Pruitt to receive for the Raiders. Pruitt fumbles the ball at about his 11, and here he comes.
Greg Pruitt.
Tackle made by Mark Cannon.
Down at the 20-yard line.
So with 7 minutes and 17 seconds left in the 3rd period, it's the Los Angeles defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers in the white shirt, talking to Rich Campbell, Lynn Dickey, and of course Randy Wright. Jim Plunkett at quarterback for the Raiders. 1st and 10. Hand off to Marcus. Flag on the play. Preliminary call is holding against the Raiders. Alfonso Carricker and John Anderson in on the tackle.
And what a good play by your man, Mike Douglas. Mosbar was trying to block him. He came underneath him, submarined him, and slowed down that play. And they called holding, I believe, right there. Outstanding play. It was Don Mosbar, number 72, but Douglas just came on the blitz and took on Mosbar, who's 6'6", 270 pounds. Douglas only 210 pounds. Outstanding defensive play.
Don Mosbar from USC replacing the veteran Mickey Marvin. Now it's 1st and 20 for the Raiders at their 10-yard line. Draw play to Marcus Allen. Marcus stumbles just a little bit behind Cliff Branch. Gets up and picks up about 8 or 9 yards. Tackle there made by George Cumbie and Tim Lewis. Here's the 3rd quarter score. The Rams and the Cleveland Browns are tied at 10. Indianapolis leading Houston. That may be a bit of a surprise to a lot of people there. In the 3rd quarter, 21-14. And San Diego and Seattle tied in the 3rd quarter, 10-10. 2nd and 13 for the Raiders. They lead the Packers 14-7. 6.5 minutes left in the 3rd period. Toss back to Marcus Allen. Good defense there by Mike Douglas, swinging everything out, allowing George Cumbie to come over and make the tackle. And now Marcus is a little slow in getting up.
There's serious hitting on that field right now. You can hear it up here. Marcus Allen is on the ground.
And remember yesterday when we talked to Jim Plunkett, he said the one thing that he worries most about as far as this whole offensive club is concerned is keeping Marcus Allen healthy.
Of course, Marcus Allen is such a back with so many abilities to run the ball, to catch the ball. Here he gets a lead block from King, who's Douglas plays it pretty well, but King stays with him. And there's the hit right there. Good hit by Cumbie. Comes down on his shoulder, and Marcus Allen is out of the game.
But he's standing on his feet. Allen so far has 13 carries for 47 yards.
But this team is so deep. When we asked Tom Flores about Plunkett's comment, what if you lose Allen, the one man you can't lose, he said, you know what? We have Kenny King. We would make adjustments. We would use the talents of King and make our system fit our players. And that's really the mark of a good coach, making that system fit the talent of your players.
Greg Pruitt replaces Marcus Allen. 3rd and 8. Ball at the Raider 22. Plunkett goes back to pass. Looking for Barnwell. In and out of his hands. Malcolm Barnwell, covered there by Mark Lee, had the ball go into and right out of his hands.
Mark Lee covering in the play.
Should have been a completion, and with the result of that, the Raiders are going to have to punt.
Not a very good defensive scheme by the Packers. You'll see here a late safety blitz by Flynn. It's picked up. That leaves the cornerbacks naked one-on-one. Barnwell comes underneath, Lee trailing, just can't hold the ball. Admittedly, the ball was a little behind him, but he still could have caught it.
There's a look at Ray Guy. His longest punt this afternoon, 63 yards. That came at the end of the first half. Philip Epps back to receive for the Packers. A high punt goes out of bounds about the Packer 38-yard line. And that's where Green Bay will take over 1st and 10. So the Green Bay Packers have the ball. 5 minutes. Marcus Allen in the middle of your screen. Looks like he has recovered. The way he was hit, John, it looked like he may have gotten the wind knocked out of him just a little bit.
Well, he was in the air, and Cumbie came in almost like a breakaway missile. Hit him, he hit the ground, and you might be right. He looks healthy on the sideline. He looks fine.
Packers have the ball 1st and 10.
Okay, stop. Reset.
And Randy Wright hands off to Gary Ellis. Stanley Adams making the tackle for the Raiders.
Matt Pellet and Stanley Adams.
Stanley Adams is a young man who he's really on the spot, so to speak, because he's filling in for the retired Ted Hendricks.
Ah, the Stork.
Yes, he is a very quiet young man. And last week against the Houston Oilers, the Oilers ran at Stanley Adams' side 3 out of every 4 running plays. They wanted to test him out, and he withstood it. 2nd and 6 for Green Bay. Right play action pass. Going deep down the middle. Intended for Lofton. Just over his head. Incomplete. Covered there by Mike Haynes.
It's interesting when I said to Mike Haynes, you're going to play James Lofton bump and run tomorrow, a yard away from his face. What happens when 4.3 speed James Lofton takes off as he did there? Are you going to be able to run with him? And he looked at me and said, yes. And it was with all the humility he could muster, because you remember how embarrassed he got when he said, well, many people consider you to be the best defensive back, cornerback in the NFL. And he said, oh, well, there are other good ones. And he was embarrassed.
He kind of looked down at the ground and kicked it a little bit. That's right. And Lofton has no pass receptions this afternoon so far. 3rd and 6 for the Packers. White goes back to pass again. Feeling a little pressure, and he's finally brought down by Bill Pickell. So the Raiders once again, John, using a lot of different formations from a defensive alignment and getting in and putting pressure in on the young Randy Wright.
Bill Pickell, number 71, Greg Townsend, number 93, both in their 2nd year, both contributing. See the nice move inside there by Townsend, putting pressure. Finally, he and Pickell get the sack. And Pickell, of course, last week had 3 sacks against a very mobile quarterback in Warren Moon. So he actually has very good speed and quickness, Pickell. So does Townsend.
You're looking at Greg Pruitt waiting for the punt from Bucky Scribner. Pruitt at about the 9-yard line, about the 14-yard line. And Greg Pruitt taking the ball at his 14-yard line, getting it up to about the 30-yard line and getting the Raiders in good field position. Guy Prather in on the tackle.
Look at Chicago. Look at Chicago. They shut out Denver 27-0. The monsters of the Midway are back.
And that's really going to make for a very interesting contest next week, because it's an NFL game next week. It's the Green Bay Packers against those Chicago Bears. And the Packers, I'm sure, there's no doubt about it, they want to make sure they can get Lynn Dickey back in for that contest.
First game of the doubleheader, and the Packers here, even if they don't beat the Raiders, they're certainly getting a measure of confidence and respectability because they're playing very well this afternoon.
Marcus Allen and Frank Hawkins in the backfield for the Raiders, and Plunkett goes back to pass. He's sacked there by John Anderson. Good coverage in the secondary by the Green Bay Packers. And John Anderson gets in and makes the sack. Pressure also in from Alfonso Carricker and Terry Jones. That's the 4th sack of the afternoon for the young Packers.
Plunkett had about 3.5 seconds to throw the ball, but he got a lot of pressure from Terry Jones, number 63, and Carricker, as you said. Watch it from the outside here. He gets some time, but the coverage downfield is outstanding as Anderson comes around the outside and pulls him down.
So the young Packers, as Forrest Gregg would want them to, are playing very, very hard. They trail by 7 here in the 3rd period. Hand off to Marcus Allen. Allen up the middle. Finally tackled there by John Anderson. Looked more like Anderson was in the way than anything else.
Well, John Anderson, I mean, is the last 2 years, the Packers, he's been their most valuable defensive player, number 2 tackler on the team with 120 tackles last year. I mean, he grades out the highest for those linebackers, and they have some good ones. Scott and Cumbie, Douglas, we've all talked about a little bit, but Anderson is really an outstanding one. More of the size for a linebacker, 6'3", 230.
3 minutes, 11 seconds left in the 3rd period. Plunkett's back to pass again. Intended for Christensen, but almost intercepted by Tom Flynn. The ball thrown a little short then. Todd Christensen was the intended receiver, and Tom Flynn, who the Packer coaches are really thrilled about, they say that he's going to be a good one.
He's the rookie out of Pitt that's starting, one of 3 defensive players starting. Here, Plunkett has time. See Christensen running across the field right there. Obviously, Plunkett didn't see Flynn. They were playing inside and out. The safeties on Christensen. If he comes across the field, Flynn takes him. If he stays on the other side, Mark Murphy takes him. Plunkett didn't read that. Almost an interception.
Ray Guy in punt formation. There's Philip Epps, number 85, to receive for the Packers. Another good kick by Guy. Epps at the 23. Flag is thrown, and Philip Epps is run out of bounds about the 33-yard line. Stacy Torren of the Los Angeles Raiders forces him out of bounds, but there was a flag on the play.
49 yards on the punt by Ray Guy.
It was James Davis on the block, number 45. He was pushing Gary Hayes, who was first down, to cover that punt, and that was a penalty, Jim.
Good job, JD.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 27 of the receivers during the run back. First down at 10.
It might have been Frank Hawkins, actually number 27, getting that penalty. College football next week here on CBS. Washington Huskies against the Michigan Wolverines. Should be a good one, Jim.
Oh, it really will be. Of course, we know that yesterday Miami of Florida lost to Michigan 22-14. And, of course, that's going to be a great, great college football game right there. The handoff is to Jesse Clark. This is an area of the field, John, I would think where the Packers have to be especially careful because they're down by 7, 2 minutes and 39 seconds left here in the 3rd period, and they don't want to do anything really silly because they know that the Raider defense is really going to take off and try and take advantage of any mistake they make now.
To the Packer credit, they haven't panicked. They're behind 14-7. They're still trying to run the ball. They're within themselves. They're not gambling so much that they can come up with a turnover and really give the game away to the Raiders.
Right back to pass. Complete to Harlan Huckleby. And Harlan Huckleby splits a couple of Raider defenders and picks up enough yardage right now for the first down. Stanley Adams and Bob Nelson in on the tackle. That's Van McElroy, who some of his teammates are trying to pull away from him. The Raiders, as you mentioned a couple of moments ago, John, they're turning up that intensity level just a little bit, and you can really start to see it, and you can really start to feel it as their emotional level is really starting to rise.
Well, they won the World Championship last year, and we talked a little bit about complacency, and both Tom Flores and Jim Plunkett said, look, there are enough veterans on this team from that 1980 championship team to remember what happened in 1981, and we're not about to let down. We're hungry. We came to camp in good shape.
1st and 10 at their own 31-yard line. Here's the reverse again to Lofton, who's going to, it looked like he wanted to throw, but he slipped and fell. Rod Martin and Bob Nelson in on the tackle.
And that's just great contain by the Raider linebackers. Martin and Nelson read it well. He had no chance to go. Lofton coming around the outside. He needs that room outside. It just wasn't there because the Raiders know that James Lofton is one of the big play men on the reverse. And here's a lot of penetration. Ellis was lucky to get that ball off. And here to contain forces, there it is, number 51, Bob Nelson, finally tackled by Martin, forces Lofton to turn around, and then the pursuit got him.
So with the loss, it's 2nd and 21.
Timeout is called.
A timeout on the field has been called by the Green Bay Packers.
Ladies and gentlemen,
56 seconds left in the third period. And the Packers called the first of their 3 timeouts left here in the second half.
is 12-year-old Jason Pace from Fillmore, California.
There's a look at James Lofton, who, he's frustrated. He's just got to be frustrated. He hasn't caught a pass this afternoon. He tries to throw a pass on a reverse. He slips and falls. He's been totally frustrated. But you have to, on the other side of the coin, you have to look at Mike Haynes. Haynes has done a brilliant job of covering him.
That's right. And when we talked to James yesterday, he wanted to come across with that cool, professional demeanor. Yes, I am the best in the game, and really I'm not that concerned about the people I play against. I'm just going to go out and do my thing, and if it happens, great. If it doesn't, well, it'll happen next week. Last week it happened for James Lofton as he had 7 catches. He had a good afternoon. Of course, Jefferson only had 1 catch last week. He's carrying more of the load here today, along with Henry Childs. Lofton shut out in a game. That doesn't happen very often.
James Lofton and John Jefferson. A lot of people say they're the finest pair of wide receivers on any team in the National Football League.
They are. You can talk about Joyner and Jefferson. You can talk about Stanley Morgan and Irvin Fryer. These are the best.
White back to pass. Throws deep down the field. Intercepted by Van McElroy. Who Lester Hayes told us was the best free safety he has ever played with. Comes up with an interception as the ball was intended for John Jefferson.
The third-year player out of Baylor is where he should be. The Raider defense is a classic defense in the secondary. Man-to-man on the outside. They rely upon the free safety being in the middle, going to the ball. That's exactly where he was. You see Philip Epps, number 85, running the post there. He's being covered by Mike Haynes. McElroy is inside. Haynes knows he's there. The interception. Raiders have the ball.
1st and 10 for the Raiders at their own 45-yard line. And Plunkett goes back to pass. Tosses out in the flat to Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen is thrown out of bounds by Mark Lee. Everyone talks so much about, and deservingly so, about Lester Hayes and Mike Haynes. But the reason they say they are so successful, besides the obvious talent that they have, is because of their offensive, their defensive push up front, the front 7, and also because of Mike Davis and Van McElroy. Lester told us yesterday, say we wouldn't be any place unless we had those 2 people in the middle.
And you know what amazed me about Lester is that he's such a cerebral defensive back. He keeps that book. We saw him walking home with films, taking him to his car on Friday.
Plunkett again back to pass. Throwing down the middle, intended for Todd Christensen. The flag has been thrown. Tom Flynn was covering.
Tom Flynn was not only covering, he actually got tangled up and tackled Todd Christensen. And Christensen says, hey, that was my chance for a touchdown. What are you doing to me? You're only a rookie at a pit. Leave me alone. Don't you know I'm the best in the game?
Defensive pass interference. Number 41, first down.
So after the interception by Van McElroy, the Raiders have the ball. 1st and 10 at the Green Bay Packer 39-yard line. It is not quite as hot and humid as we expected it to be. A lot of people thought it would be about 95, but with the cloud covering. It's down in the low 80s now. Here's Kenny King.
And off to Kenny King.
King tackled by Mike Douglas.
Stopped at the 36-yard line by Mike Douglas.
You know, most people talk about Marcus Allen and they forget about Kenny King. I mean, he's undersized for a fullback at 5'11", 305. But Kenny King, you recall, Jim, was the man who helped to take them to a Super Bowl and to win it a few years back. So Kenny King, when you look at his career stats, they're impressive. Almost 4.5 yards a carry. Outstanding speed. 6-year man out of Oklahoma.
And with that carry by Kenny King, that was the last play.
Style, innovation, quality, and the value that make up today's Chevrolet. And by Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds comes sharp products.
Along with John Dockery, I'm Jim Hill as we begin the fourth period. Los Angeles Raiders leading the Green Bay Packers 14-7. 2nd and 7 for the Raiders, and Plunkett goes back to pass. His intended, or the nearest receiver, was Malcolm Barnwell. Looked that time, John, like there was a little bit of miscommunication between Barnwell and Plunkett.
I think there probably was, but the most obvious thing to me right there is that Plunkett had 5 seconds to throw the ball and still wasn't pressured, and maybe that's one of the reasons that he's 12 for 19, 134 yards, 1 touchdown. He's getting some time. Not an outstanding afternoon for Plunkett, but a workmanlike performance for these Raiders.
Jim Plunkett, who has led the Raiders to their last 2 Super Bowl championships. 3rd and 7. Hand off to Kenny King. Kenny King gets inside the 20-yard line. Tackle there made by Tim Lewis and John Anderson.
You might also say that tackle missed by number 41, Tom Flynn. And the rookie from Pittsburgh is learning what it's about to play against the really fine running backs in the NFL. Kenny King, one of them. You see Marcus Allen coming in for a good block on the linebacker. Watch this move right here. Ooh, can't grab the air. Kenny King finally pulled down by Tim Lewis, number 26.
And that block by Marcus Allen that we just saw is one of the things that makes him so popular with his ball club. He goes in there, he sticks his nose in there. 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Plunkett to pass again. Across the middle of Cliff Branch. Tom Flynn in on the tackle.
And the reason they were able to get that play off is they kept both backs in. They kept King, they kept Allen in maximum protection to give Plunkett a little extra time. A quick slant, and he saw the blitz, delivered the ball, completion to Branch.
That was Branch's 5th reception of the afternoon.
Take a look at it from ground level, and you get a feel for what it's about. Here's the blitz. See it right here? Here comes the blitz, a little bit delayed. He gets it off in a hurry. Did he catch it? He's juggling. Yeah, he had possession before he hit the ground. I think it was a good call.
Hand off to Marcus Allen. Touchdown, Los Angeles. Marcus Allen, behind excellent blocking up front by his offensive line, takes it in from 8 yards out, and the Raiders now lead 20-7. Matt Barr is in to attempt the extra point. And it is good. Raiders, after the 8-yard touchdown run by Marcus Allen to give Los Angeles a 21-7 lead over the Packers. Del Rogers and Harlan Huckabee back to receive. Huckabee 2 yards deep in the end zone. Harlan Huckabee is brought down about the 18-yard line by Darrell Byrd. So the Los Angeles Raiders lead it 21-7, 6 plays, going 55 yards, taking 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Of course, capped off by the 8-yard run by Marcus Allen.
And if you're the Raider offensive coordinator, you have to be happy with certain plays. The first drive, 8 plays, 63 yards, and then an 8-play, 60-yard drive, and now this fine drive. So they've been consistent on offense. It really hasn't been the big play bomb so characteristic of the Raiders.
1st and 10 for Green Bay. Right play action pass. Intended for Henry Childs and knocked down there by Matt Millen. Matt Millen coming up with a very good defensive effort, knocking the ball away from Henry Childs, who had it in his hands temporarily.
Randy Wright isn't having the greatest second half you've ever seen. He is now 1 for 9 for 13 yards, 1 interception. Here, Howie Long finally gets some pressure, but he had enough time. Good play by Millen in front of Childs to knock that ball away. Actually distracted him, might have gotten a piece of it.
2nd and 10 for the Packers. Raiders now have 5 defensive backs in. Toss back to Gary Ellis. Ellis tries to turn the corner, but is bumped out of bounds there. Otis McKinney, Lyle Alzado coming over to force him out of bounds.
How about this? Green Bay Packers have not won a game in the LA Coliseum since Super Bowl I, way back January 15th, 1967. And wasn't that the team that Forrest Gregg played on?
Sure. He was.
And he's back here again at Coliseum. He's trailing 21-7. And that's Paul Kaufman standing next to him. Boy, could they use Kaufman at this moment. Ooh.
They certainly could. 3rd and 4 for Green Bay. Flags on the play. We saw Howie Long move a little bit in the defensive line for the Raiders.
Encroachment, number 75 on the defense, 1st down.
That's who it was against, Howie Long.
You know, the question you'd ask yourself now, I'm trailing 21-7, Green Bay. Does Green Bay have enough weapons against a terrific Raider defense? I would say yes. They have Lofton and Jefferson. Of course, they'd like to have Lynn Dickey in there, but Randy Wright has some ability. He can scramble, he can run, he can make things happen in an improvisational way.
Once again, more flags. Illegal procedure against Green Bay.
So the penalty's even off.
False start, number 16 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Now the false start by Randy Wright is that he started to lean back from the center, Larry McCarron, before the ball had been snapped. And that just naturally attracts those the defensive people from the Raiders.
Well, Jim Hill, if you looked across the line and saw Howie Long snorting smoke from his nostrils and Lyle Alzado over there groaning, you might pull out a little quickly, too.
No, I wouldn't get under there to begin with. Okay? 1st and 15 for the Green Bay Packers. Right back to pass. Complete to Jesse Clark. Stanley Adams tripping up Jesse Clark.
Stanley Adams is an interesting story. You talked about him a little bit before about being on the spot. This man has been injured for the last 2 years. He's been on injured reserve, 1982, 1983. He's had those knee problems. He's back now after an incredibly tough rehabilitation period, and he's replacing Tent Hendricks, the Stork, as you said.
The Raiders again with 5 defensive backs. They lead Green Bay 21-7. 12 minutes and 20 seconds left in the ball game. And Wright goes back to pass. Intercepted by Jeff Barnes. Jeff Barnes, who comes in passing situations. A great role player, comes up with the interception, and he's knocked out of bounds by Jesse Clark.
And credit that interception to the incredible strength of Howie Long, number 75. He occupies 2 men, and that allows number 99, watch the right side of your screen, 99, watch this, come around the outside, put a little pressure on the quarterback. He doesn't see Barnes, the interception. Howie Long is just so strong that you can't block him with 1 man. And of course, in an end tackle game, you see number 99 come around the outside after Long, watch him here, occupies 2 men. All right, that's Swanky trying to handle him. They can't handle him. He rushes inside, and he even gets to the quarterback through 2 men.
So with the great pass rush, Jeff Barnes comes up with an interception to give the Raiders the ball inside Packer territory. Who applied the pressure, which led to the interception. And now the Raiders have the ball 1st and 10. Packer 19. Frank Hawkins up the middle. Hawkins is tackled there by Bill Neal.
And you get the feeling that the Raiders, the world champion Raiders, are wearing down the Green Bay Packers. But Forrest Gregg has to be happy with his team. He has 9 rookies on this club, and he was concerned that maybe some of them would be so wide-eyed when they came out and saw the silver and black and the Raiders, that intimidating team, that they would just lay down and die. They haven't done that. They play tough, aggressive football, which is what he demands.
2nd and 8 for the Raiders. Hand off to Marcus Allen. Allen spinning before he's brought down by Tom Flynn.
You know, I thought it was interesting yesterday when we talked to Marcus Allen, and you asked him the question, Marcus, what would you like to do before your career is over? And he said, you know, I'd be lying to you if I told you I wouldn't like to get O.J.'s record, get over that 2,000-yard mark. And we said, hey, Marcus, that'll never happen in this system. He said, well, I can still dream.
That's right. He and O.J. are very, very good friends. And he said that all the stories about O.J. teaching him everything that he, Marcus, has known and acquired in the National Football League is stretched just a little bit.
Both good running backs, wouldn't you say? An understatement. But you know what I thought was interesting when we were talking to Marcus was the fact that at Robinson, when he was at USC, used to instill in those tailbacks that they were supermen, that they were indestructible, invincible.
By the offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That they couldn't be hurt, that they could do anything. And he had a little of that last week when he got in that fight. He said, all of a sudden I felt like Robinson had told me that, and I remembered it, and I was Superman once again, taking on those big guys in Houston.
Got a gash in his forehead for that, too.
That's right.
Talking about John Robinson, his coach at USC. Plunkett goes back to pass. Intended for Cliff Branch. Intercepted in the end zone.
Oh, what a big play by Tim Lewis. Good recovery, Jim, and you can appreciate that. Branch actually had him for a step. The ball wasn't thrown soon enough, hard enough, or far enough, so Lewis had time to recover. Branch, I'm amazed after 13 years how Branch can still fly. Take a look at him here. They're playing some man-to-man. It's half bump and run. It's half man-to-man. See, he loses him there for a minute, but the ball's not thrown far enough out. He makes a good recovery. Shows outstanding hands for a defensive back. The Packers...
It should be a good one, don't you think, here?
Oh, the hitman. Oh, what a... He's actually looking down the road, the hitman. He wants that big, big showdown with marvelous Marvin Hagler, and this should be a good one. He's on his way. And some people say the hitman now is on his way up, hasn't reached his peak yet, and may be the best fighter in that division.
Going against Fred Hutchins, and of course after that will be the Woodward and Futurity Stakes. Rich Campbell is in at quarterback now for the Green Bay Packers. And Campbell goes back to pass. Across the middle. Matt Millen, Bob Nelson in on the tackle. The pass there received by John Jefferson. So Rich Campbell comes in now, replacing Randy Wright.
You know, Randy Wright was in a difficult situation. He actually beat Campbell out in preseason, but he was a rookie, and Forrest Gregg wants to get something going. Of course, Lynn Dickey is out. He has those back strain on the sidelines. He's on the sidelines, but he can't play. Figured nothing happening with Wright in the second half. Let's try Campbell. Let's see if he can put the spark in the offense that we need.
Rich Campbell from University of California. Hands off to Jesse Clark. Clark tackled there by Howie Long. Howie Long having an outstanding afternoon. And here's another exciting game going on for you this afternoon. Cleveland and the Rams are tied at 17 all in the 4th period.
We're going to see those Rams next week when they play Pittsburgh.
That's right.
There's Indianapolis. Look, goes ahead of Houston 28-21. I'm a little surprised. Houston, to me, is one of the most improved teams in the league, but Mike Pagel, 14-yard touchdown to Buffalo. There's Seattle over San Diego, 17-10. Seattle, Franco Harris, his debut for the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, yeah. 9:15 left in the ball game here. 1st and 10 for the Packers. They trail 21-7. Campbell back to pass. Ball just out of the reach of Henry Childs. and Van McElroy is there.
You know, when Campbell was drafted in the first round in 1981 by the Green Bay Packers out of Cal Berkeley, they had incredible high hopes for him. They thought he would be the next franchise in Green Bay. It hasn't turned out that way. He just hasn't developed the way they thought he would be. He's a very intelligent quarterback, possibly the smartest of the three, but the rap on him, Jim, is his inability to throw the ball. He does not have a great arm.
That was a perfect example right there. 2nd and 10 now for the Packers. The Raiders have 5 defensive backs in the game. Rich Campbell at quarterback. And Campbell goes back to pass again. Going deep downfield, intended for Lofton. Once again, great coverage by the Los Angeles Raiders on James Lofton. Lester Hayes back there.
And you sense, Jim, when you look at Lester Hayes, it's not pure physical ability, though he has outstanding pure physical ability. He's the man that takes that film home. Remember when we talked to him, there he was on Friday with 3 canisters of film and his old T-shirt on, getting into his red Corvette in the parking lot, telling us that he was going to study James Lofton. As you look at the rush getting to Campbell there, Howie Long, but that Lester Hayes was going to study James Lofton. He had films from 1978, and he said, you know what? Receivers don't change their habits. They do things, and I want to find that consistent thread. And that's one of the reasons that Lester Hayes can cover James Lofton so well. He knows sooner or later they're going to come with the bomb. That time he had it covered so well.
Isn't it amazing that when Lester Hayes first started to turn into a defensive back, he was a linebacker down at Texas A&M, and one of the people that he first started to study was Mike Haynes.
And there's an injury on the field. Howie Long was shaken up, but he's indestructible. He's walking off the field.
Feeling we're being followed?
They're coming over to Chevy Cavalier.
You better explain.
Well, sometimes...
Back and Rich Campbell trailed the Los Angeles Raiders 21-7. 3rd and 10 for Green Bay at their own 30-yard line. 3rd down conversions for the Packers this afternoon, not good at all. 3 of 12. And Campbell's back to pass. Throwing deep down the middle over the head of John Jefferson, who was surrounded by 3 Los Angeles Raiders that time.
And remember, at the top of the show, we talked about the matchups, the Lofton, Jefferson, Hayes, and Haynes matchup. And to this moment, James Lofton doesn't have a catch, and all Jefferson has is 3 for 19. So the matchup, the confrontation, is being won by the defense at the moment.
And the reason for that, as Mike Haynes and Lester Hayes will tell you, is because of that defensive front alignment of the Raiders has been putting on tremendous pressure.
This man, Scribner, has been helping to keep him in the game. Last week, a 49-yard average. Today, a 45-yard average.
Greg Pruitt back for the Raiders. Takes it about his 27-yard line. Tackle there made for the Green Bay Packers by Guy Prather.
And the Green Bay Packers on defense have been playing well, but now's the time when there's 8.
Packers are inexperienced, and they'll try and take advantage of it. 1st and 10. Jim Plunkett at quarterback. Toss back to Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen tackled once again by Bill Neal. Finals from earlier today around the National Football League. St. Louis over Buffalo 37-7. The Giants beating Dallas, a big upset there. Big day for Phil Simms. And Chicago shutting out Denver 27-0.
2nd down and 6.
There's an overtime game. Detroit over Atlanta by 3. Kansas City beating Cincinnati by 5. And it's 2nd down for the Raiders here. Toss back to Kenny King. Tom Flynn coming up making the tackle for the Packers. Some other finals today. It's Philadelphia over Minnesota 19-17. And New England losing to Miami 28-7. The Dolphins off and rolling. And New Orleans, the Saints beating Tampa Bay today 17-13.
New Orleans bouncing back after that loss last week. A lot of people expecting New Orleans to go a long way to the playoffs. Forrest Gregg hoping to rebuild this team, make it competitive, possibly get to the playoffs.
He'd certainly like them to bounce back here on defense. 34 for the Raiders. Plunkett goes back to pass. Across the middle, complete to Todd Christensen. Tackle there made by Mark Murphy.
Mark Murphy all by himself as the blitz came. What I don't understand there, Jim, is number 41, Tom Flynn, came on the delayed blitz. He came so late, he was wasted. He would have done it a lot better to stay back. He could have stayed back and helped out his strong safety, Mark Murphy. And there you see the blitz coming from the outside with Anderson. Actually, Todd thought he could have gotten more here, possibly gotten away. He's angry with himself. He demands a lot of himself. He believes he's the best tight end in football, and he wants to prove it every time he steps onto the field.
He certainly has the credentials from last year, 92 receptions. 1st and 10 for the Raiders. Hand off to Marcus Allen. Marcus falling forward. Donnie Humphrey in on the tackle.
You know, it was interesting when we were talking to Marcus. I was really shocked when he said, you know, yeah, I love playing football and I love getting yards and I like championships, but you know what? My Heisman Trophy is back gathering dust in my apartment. My Super Bowl ring is there also. The thing that gives me the biggest kick playing football and why I've been so fortunate is that every week when I'm at home, my parents can come and watch me play. And you could see his eyes sparkle, how sincere he was about sharing all of the joy, all of the glory.
I've seen his father's eyes sparkle here also. He's at every Raider game. Marcus Allen right now, 68 yards on 18 carries. Marcus again. Donnie Humphrey.
Oh!
And there's Marcus.
Second fight in 2 weeks.
Getting into it with John Anderson.
And Marcus said, we said, Marcus, your reputation is one of being kind of a cool professional, unflappable. He said, wait a minute, you know that I used to be a linebacker and a defensive back, and a very good one, so I'm used to being physical and hitting people.
Greg Pruitt just went out on the field to talk to Marcus, and Marcus will tell you, he'll tell you that Greg Pruitt has done a great deal for the success that he's had so far in the National Football League. This particular time, as you see right here, Humphrey gets in on him and just stops him from making any gain at all.
Ooh, and then someone came in there near his knee. That's got to make a running back tremble. But Marcus said, heck no, I'm a tough running back. I played defense. I'm only a running back for the last 5 years. I'll mix it up. This game is getting a little hot at the moment. These guys are, Packers are a little bit frustrated.
You know, you certainly don't want to see anyone get hurt in any kind of situation like this, but we talked a little while ago. Once again, the penalty against the Raiders. False start, illegal procedure. But Marcus has done a lot with instances like that to gather even more confidence from his teammates.
False start by the offense, still 3rd down.
Well, I think any ball player will respect another ball player if he knows he's willing to put his nose in there and mix it up. And of course, it can bring a team together. Last week, remember Alzado coming out to help and some of the other guys coming out to help Marcus. That brings the team together.
5 minutes and 9 seconds left in the ball game. 3rd and 11 for the Raiders at their own 42-yard line. And Plunkett goes back to pass. And he's sacked. Terry Jones, the nose tackle.
Jerry Jones.
And I'm a little surprised to see this veteran offensive line, as good as they are, having so much problem with the young defensive line. There, Terry Jones, the nose tackle, gets in for a sack. Take a look at it right here. See him up in the middle there? He just beats right there. Number 52, Jim Romano. Of course, Romano is replacing the 13-year veteran Dave Dalby, but they have high hopes for Romano right there. Terry Jones manhandled him for the sack.
The 5th sack of the afternoon for the Packers. Ray Guy in punt formation for the Raiders. Philip Epps at his 27-yard line to receive for the Packers. Driving Epps back to about the 12-yard line. Actually takes about the 17 flag down, and Philip Epps is slammed to the ground. Frank Hawkins, who scored a touchdown this afternoon, goes down and makes a contribution on the special teams.
Gary Hayes was pushing on that play, number 27 for the Packers, and there's the penalty. Moves the ball back. Poor field position for the Packers, but I must remind everybody, remember, it's 21-7. There's 4.5 minutes left in this game. It's not over yet. They can get a big play to Lofton or Jefferson and get the ball back in a hurry. They'll have a shot.
Illegal use of the hands on the run back. Number 27 of the receivers. It's 1st down at 10. Timeout.
Timeout on the field. with 4 minutes and 35. Trill, Los Angeles Raiders 21-7. And this is really dangerous, as you know now, John, because you know what the Packers have to do with 4:35 left. The Raiders know, and you just can really feel that pass rush and the defensive unit's getting a little bit more psyched up.
And besides that, the Packer offense, of course, is hamstrung with Lynn Dickey being out of the game. Rich Campbell has only seen action in really one regular season game in his 4-year career. This is a tough spot for the Packers.
Handoff to Gary Ellis. Tackle made by Bob Nelson and Mike Haynes.
And I'd be surprised if Forrest Gregg would go for respectability. I mean, they're trailing 21-7, the Green Bay Packers. They've gained a measure of respect this afternoon against these world champion Raiders, especially with their quarterback being hurt. But I can't see not going for the win. Does it matter if you lose 21-7 or 28-7? You got to go for it if you expect your team to have that kind of confidence and believe they can play with the good teams.
Well, let's see if they put it in the air now. 1st and 10. And they don't. Once again, keeping it on the ground with Gary Ellis, Sean Jones, the rookie from Northeastern, in on the tackle.
To me, it's a commentary on the quarterback position. If in this situation with 3 minutes and 35 seconds left, you don't put the ball up in the air and try to get a score, especially when you have great receivers like Lofton and Jefferson. Of course, if that man, number 12, Lynn Dickey, were in the game, you know the air would be filled with footballs.
Rich Campbell. And he goes back to pass now, John. Intended for James Lofton and knocked away there by Mike Haynes.
James Lofton yet to catch a pass. That ball, not enough zip on it.
Dickey was telling us yesterday, he says, I just don't think that they can cover our guys man-to-man for the entire 60-minute period.
Boy, they've been doing it, though. Take a look right here.
Oh, yeah.
Watch Mike Haynes. Shadows, watches, reacts. What perfect body position. Steps in front, knocks the ball away. No interference. Outstanding coverage. I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better. If you were teaching a clinic, you couldn't show anyone any better how to cover a wide receiver. And the best wide receiver in the game. Fantastic speed, size, ability.
3rd and 7. And flags are down. False start illegal procedure again against the Green Bay Packers.
False start, setting up too early. Number 61 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
David Dressler. There's a look at the clock. 3 minutes and 11 seconds left. You know, we're talking about Lofton. He was kind of quiet and laid back and nonchalant yesterday in our meeting with him. He's been quiet today.
He certainly has. This man's quiet because he knows I have a team. I have depth. I have a good shot at going back to my 2nd Super Bowl in a row, and my schedule isn't that difficult.
What an outstanding job he has done. Campbell back to pass again. Across the middle, complete to Harlan Huckabee. Tackle made by Otis McKinney.
Otis McKinney on the tackle.
Not enough yardage for the 1st down. But you have 2 minutes and 54 seconds left. And the offensive unit for the Packers are staying on the field.
You might as well go for it. What's the sense of kicking it away? You're down by 2 touchdowns. You have to go for it.
Absolutely right. There's no mistake about that. 4th and 3. Packers have the ball at their own 25-yard line. Rich Campbell, 3 wide receivers in for the Packers. And he's back to pass again as expected.
Oh!
I think that's probably what Campbell said when Howie Long just hit him. Oh!
Because you know what he was doing? He was looking at Greg Townsend, number 93, who was containing the play, and he never saw Howie Long. Howie Long went, flew into him. What a hit. How would you like to be a quarterback in the NFL? Take a look at what it requires to be and the hits you have to take. Here's Campbell dropping back. He tries to buy a little time by rolling out. Here, he's contained, and he never sees. Oh, he greets him right in the chin strap. Does that hurt? Whew.
There is no question that Howie Long is one of the finest defensive linemen in all of professional football.
And you know what I think is interesting about him? He says, I am the blue-collar defensive end. I'm not the glamour boy like Mark Gastineau. I play the run, I play the pass. I play every down.
And as a result, the Raiders take over. Here's a handoff to Marcus Allen again. Shifting directions. Marcus Allen getting down inside the 5 to about the 3-yard line.
You cannot teach instinct, and that's what Marcus Allen has. He glides, he moves. Here it's an improvisational play. He cuts back. He's probably one of the best cutback runners in the game, and he just slithers his way through. See him switch the ball there? You know how much control you have to use the straight arm. He straight arms number 53 and get some extra yards.
And for as good as Marcus Allen is, the thing that people have to remember that this is only the 5th year that he's been at the running back position, counting pro and in college. So the Los Angeles Raiders lead the Green Bay Packers 21-7, 2 minutes to go in our ball game.
Incredible. He has another shot at the Super Bowl coming up.
An excellent coach. 2nd and 1. Jenkins again. And Derek Jensen.
And this offensive team, this Raider team, is built by the formula that all the great Raider teams were built in. Al Davis likes it, Tom Flores likes it. You get that big offensive line to protect the quarterback. You get those great defensive backs, those great cornerbacks to cover the receivers and keep the ball out of the end zone, and you go from there. And that's exactly how this Raider team is built. They've got a standing offensive line and great cornerbacks.
Their philosophy has remained the same for years and years, and it has been productive. 3rd and 1. And Jensen gets in for the score. Capped off by a nice little easy toss to the official.
But isn't that a nice gesture? Derek Jensen, listed as a tight end, 6th year out of Texas Abilene, well liked by his teammates, the captain of the special teams. They give him that touchdown, goes to the goal line. Means a lot to him, would mean less to Marcus Allen.
So the Raiders, with a couple of breaks, have worn down the Packers here in the second half. Chris Barr in to attempt the extra point. Once again, straight and true. 41 seconds left in the ball game, and the Raiders lead the Green Bay Packers 28-7. And things have really kind of just fallen apart for Forrest Gregg and his young, inexperienced Packers.
But to his credit, this team did not totally fall apart. And when you so important, Lynn Dickey, you lose them that early in the game, and you still play the Raiders as tough as the Packers have played them today, I think you have to give credit to Forrest Gregg, his philosophy, and his coaches and his team.
Well, they've hung right in there. The executive producer, Terry O'Neill. The senior producer, Charles H. Milton III. Today's game was produced by David Dinkins Jr. and directed by Mike Arnold. And the rest of our terrific CBS staff out here on the West Coast.
Chris Barr lining up the ball for the kickout.
So the Raiders in their home opener once again come on strong in the second half.
And the Raiders will go 2-0. They're starting off strong. Last week, a win against Houston. Not an artistic masterpiece. Today, not an artistic masterpiece, but the Raiders are notoriously slow starters.
Matt Barr with a dribble kick right down the middle of the field. Harlan Huckabee on the return. Tackle there made by Darrell Byrd. 34 seconds left in our ball game. And the Packers down by 3 touchdowns, 28-7.
But what you have to be most impressed with about the Packers is their defensive problems were legendary last year. Everyone knew what a bad defense they had. They were the worst defense in the NFL. Today, they've improved dramatically, even though the score doesn't indicate it's 28-7. But a couple of those touchdowns really weren't their fault. Of course, they went for it on 4th and short 4th late in the in the game here, and that's almost like giving away a touchdown. Defense has played well overall. Offense without Dickey just is not the same.
And, of course, shutting out James Lofton. And Campbell goes back to pass for the Packers. Pass is thrown and complete to Del Rogers. He's tackled there by Larry McCoy.
And on the other side of the coin for the Raiders, what can you say about them? They're deep at every position. They're talented. They're together. They're injury-free for the most part. And they're on their way to the playoffs again.
2nd and 2. Campbell back to pass. Completed to Del Rogers again. And once again, Larry McCoy in on the tackle. 1 second left in the ball game, and it is history. So the Los Angeles Raiders, after being tied by the Packers at halftime 7-7, come back to score 3 touchdowns in the second half.